Welcome along to this month's edition of Tech, the first in a series because we're on the road to Christmas 2022 with Manx Telecom. Now there's lots of products in here which are at the top of people's wish lists. So let's take a look inside and we're going to kick off with my favourite, Apple. Let's do this. So we are going to be taking a look at the brand new iPhone 14 range. But before we get into all of that, we need to say hello and welcome to the new store manager of the Manx Telecom store. It's Juan. Woo!
Hello.
And also intrepid mountaineer who climbed up Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, raising a lot of money for charity.
That's incredible. I suppose the next question is, just very briefly, before we get into tech, because Kilimanjaro, how was it?
Oh, incredible, yeah. And I think the sights and just the whole atmosphere of everyone else on the mountain, absolutely incredible. Yeah, you really have to be there to really take it all in. But
well done. That's an amazing feat and raised a load of money as well. So
yeah.
Right, let's take a look at what we've got in store for this special edition of Tech. Now there's loads of new products in at Manx Telecom ahead of Christmas, but this edition we are going to look at the iPhone 14 and I've had a couple of phones to look at. Let's kick off. This one's the iPhone 14 Plus and the iPhone 14. So tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so obviously complete change to the lineup this year. So instead of bringing a mini phone out, they've gone even bigger, so a 6.7 inch, same size as the Pro Max for the Plus range. So it's essentially the 14, but bigger.
Yeah.
So bigger battery life, up to 26 hours, which is the biggest battery life in any
Because that was
iPhone.
always probably the biggest criticism of Apple was the battery life was never as good as Android counterparts, really.
No, absolutely. And I think going on to the Pro Max, thankfully I had mine for Climb and Killy, and you made it 3 days. So if you put in your battery saver mode on, you can get a lot longer out of it.
3 days?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh wow, okay. So the iPhone 14 Plus, which is what I got to demo, only got the 2 lenses on it, but the camera is incredible. It still comes with cinematic mode, which we'll get to when we talk about the Pro, and also action mode. So Apple's making quite bold statements that you don't need to use a gimbal and you can run around with the phone and it will stabilize as best it can.
I think that's great for, because you don't really have time to put your phone in a gimbal if you're going to take videos of the dog. For capturing those precious memories of the kids, you don't have time to worry about getting the steady shot. By doing your action mode, you get that without the added hassle. Yeah,
and finally I suppose we should highlight the notch is still there, although it's the shrunk down notch.
It is, it's slightly smaller, yeah.
I don't really notice it as such.
I think again that's because it's been there for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I suppose
so
just used to it.
We got used to it.
Right.
You think about other models, that's significantly smaller.
And speaking of other models, let's take a look at the Pro line now. The Apple Pro and the Apple Pro Max. So now we move on to the iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. These devices, you can tell they are part of the Pro line. Even before the screen goes on, they look gorgeous, to be honest. The bezel is all nice and polished. Now I was very lucky being demoing this one, which is the Space Grey. Yeah. Now the first thing you will notice with this, and we just talked about the notch, think to yourself, if you were to name something that looks like a notch but is slightly smaller than a notch, what would you call it?
Well, I definitely wouldn't have gone Dynamic Island.
How did they even come up with that?
Yeah.
Dynamic Island. But hey, it's got people talking about it, and in terms of innovation, I guess that's probably the biggest thing with the Pro and the Pro Max. Now, the other thing, which I think is a first, you've seen it on Apple Watch, but they've got the always-on display. It's not a pared down display, like everything's still on there, just dimmed, and it still keeps the incredible battery life.
Absolutely, and I think that's the key thing. So everything that you put on your home screen, which is now completely customizable, loads of unique widgets that you can put on there, they're all there, regardless if you've got your phone on or not. I do the same. When I'm at work, my phone's on my desk, so I don't really see it.
Yeah.
But I still get the notifications. I can still see, I have my health tracker on there at the moment, which shows the dial of how many steps I need to do. It's one of those things that you don't really notice you needed until it's there, and it just absolutely changes the way you use an iPhone.
I think it's safe to say, like the iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max, gorgeous handsets. They still feel like the most premium handset on the market. But for me, the biggest innovation is iOS 16.
Absolutely.
And that's available on pretty much all of the Apple handsets.
Yeah, that's it.
It's revolutionized the style, the design, the way you use them, everything. So if you've been away from Apple for a good while, maybe now is the time to come back and have a look at various different devices.
Absolutely, and I think that's the key thing is just pop in store, pick up the handsets, see all the changes that they've made over the years. And it is, you're absolutely right, iOS 16 has absolutely changed the game for the way the iPhone works.
It really has. It's incredible. It really is. So much more customizable that you would never expect from Apple. Yeah. So that's the first in our road to Christmas tech. Taking a look at the new iPhone 14 range, which of course all here in Manx Telecom. Come down, try them out for yourselves. You never know. It might be the top of your wish list. I pretty much guarantee it probably will be for a lot of people, won't it? Juan, thanks. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll be back because we've got the MT gaming team to meet.
Very exciting.
We're going to take a look at all of the other products that you've got in the run up to Christmas.